What's up, everyone? Welcome to the May 24th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code Awesemo when you sign up and deposit at PrizePicks. You receive 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You also receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100 on that deposit. We have a 12-game MLB slate tonight. As usual, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers on DraftKings using the top stacks tool and the top pitchers tool on the Awesemo.com website. Starting with the top 3 tournament stacks. Number 3, the Atlanta Braves are taking on Kyle Gibson tonight. Relatively difficult matchup for the Braves. Gibson certainly a solid pitcher. Comes into this game with a 3.7 xFIP, 20.8% strikeout percentage. He's only allowed 0.84 home runs per 9 so far this season, but he is someone that pitches to contact, and we know that the Braves are a really high upside team. They have a lot of power in their lineup. They have plenty of speed in their lineup that gives them stolen base upside. Their active roster has a 101 WRC plus this year, which is about league average, but a 173 ISO, which is very good. They're projected for about 3% ownership, with a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 2% chance of being the top value stack. Number 2, the Houston Astros taking on Zach Plesac and the Cleveland Guardians. The Astros are one of the best offenses in baseball. They have a 117 WRC plus and a 184 ISO on their active roster. Plesac has really struggled this year. He has a 13.8% strikeout percentage, 4.83 xFIP, and has allowed 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. Houston is projected for 6% ownership with an 8% chance of being the top scoring stack, only about a 2% chance of being the top value stack. So you will have to find a way to save money elsewhere in your lineup if you're going to stack Houston, but the ceiling is very high for this offense. And number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on Josiah Gray tonight in Washington. The Dodgers are projected for 7% ownership with a 12% chance of being the top scoring stack, 2% chance of being the top value stack. Gray has a respectable 25.3% strikeout percentage this year, but he also has an elevated 4.26 xFIP and has allowed 1.87 home runs per 9 innings. He has a very difficult matchup here with the Dodgers, who have a 117 WRC plus and a 168 ISO so far this season. Now, looking at the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Chris Bassett, projected for 1% ownership. Wrong site. Zach Gallen projected for 9% ownership with a 10% chance of being the top scoring, a top 2 scoring pitcher, 4% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. Gallen is taking on the Kansas City Royals. He's $9,300. Kansas City's active roster only has a 93 WRC plus. They've also only struck out 18.7% of the time. Gallen has very good strikeout numbers this year at 26% with a 3.52 xFIP. He also does a good job of not putting additional runners on base, as he's only walked about 5% of hitters. Number 2, Kevin Gausman, projected for 6% ownership with a 13% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and a 5% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. He's taking on the St. Louis Cardinals tonight in St. Louis. Gausman is $9,500. He's been excellent so far this year for Toronto. He has a 28.9% strikeout percentage, a very, very good 2.31 xFIP. The issue here is that St. Louis's active roster has the highest WRC plus in baseball at 132. And on top of that, they've only struck out 17.9% of the time. So this is a very difficult matchup for Gausman, but he's also not likely to get much ownership. And he's certainly one of the most talented pitchers on the slate. And number 1, Dylan Cease taking on the Boston Red Sox. He's projected for 16% ownership with an 18% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and a 6% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. Cease is $9,800. He leads the slate with a 36.8% strikeout percentage so far this season. Also has an excellent 2.6 xFIP. Boston's active roster has a 100 WRC plus and a 20.8% strikeout percentage. So a pretty average matchup for Cease, but as I mentioned, leads the slate in strikeout percentage. So to recap the top 3 tournament stacks tonight, number 3, the Atlanta Braves, number 2, the Houston Astros, and number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Zach Gallen, number 2, Kevin Gausman, and number 1, Dylan Cease.